Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show, presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. We got a little Sunday night add-on.
That was a treat. That was a treat.
A 40-point tie, overtime, time expired, no double overtime in the NFL. We got a tie. There was no defense in the second half or in overtime. Did anybody ever get a stop?
It felt like Dak had 600 passing yards.
But he did. He had like 340, 350, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Dak was incredible. I think that was a win tie for the Cowboys and a tie loss for the Packers.
Is that a win tie for Jerry?
Oh,
he wanted to beat Micah Parsons.
But he didn't lose. He didn't want to lose to Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Like, the way that it could have turned out for him was Micah Parsons has 3 sacks, a fumble, recovered for a touchdown, and they got blown out by a couple of scores. So I feel like Jerry
cutting to him in the booth, and he was like,
he looked so beat, man.
He just looks so old.
I mean,
he is.
I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm tired.
And Jerry is 100, but he also. I mean, he's a billionaire. He probably got access to some better oxygen than us. He's probably not actually tired. Yeah. He looked tired, though. I have something to say. I have a declaration to make. The Packers are an unserious outfit.
I love it. I agree.
I'm so disappointed, man. Like,
we crowned them after 2 weeks.
You want to crown them? They crowned their
Yeah.
They are not who we thought they were. They back-to-back weeks, disappointing games. Well, last week was a loss to the Browns. Mm-hmm. This week was a tie, an overtime tie with the Cowboys team that I think no one believes.
And beyond that, they were up 13-0.
Yeah.
And then in overtime, they mismanaged the clock, almost didn't get the game-tying field goal off. And the reason they mismanaged the clock is because they were so afraid of a 70-yarder from Brandon Aubrey that they played for a tie. They were terrified of a kicker. I mean, I am a Brandon Aubrey stan. I want to see him bang a 70-yarder, but still.
Since we're quoting historic black coaches, you play to win the game. The Denny Green, you crowned him.
Yeah,
you started the trend. So you play to win the game, in the words of Herman Edwards, and they were not playing to win the game. They definitely decided to start running the ball and doing screen passes with less than a minute. I guess it was like a little over a minute when they started to do it, ticking the clock down, pretending like they were outsmarting everyone, and then getting to the point where they had no timeouts with 12 seconds left and let it run down, and almost, if that ball would have thrown
fluttered. Yeah. One more rotation.
If somebody would have tipped it, if it would they would have lost that game. And it was a pass that wasn't even catchable. It just seemed like a level of mismanagement that we associate with the Titans, not the Packers. And yeah. Packers, they are not who we thought they were. The Packers are. We have to stop pretending like they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders after these back-to-back weeks until proven otherwise.
A month of blowing teams out, and I'll take you seriously again.
I mean, Dak's really good though.
Oh, Dak is awesome. George Pickens, awesome.
George Pickens is fun.
He's so fun.
It was
Javonte Williams is who Isaiah Pacheco thinks he runs like.
I like the cutting to CeeDee Lamb when George Pickens was making plays. He seemed genuinely happy for him. I like that. They're a fun team. The Cowboys, Dak Prescott is in the perfect Dak Prescott position right now where we don't have high expectations. We just go out there and let it rip. We're going to cheer for you. Have a good time. I'm getting ready to steal one of your takes. I might take it to get up. You know which one it is, right? Free Dak Prescott. The free Dak Prescott take.
He's really good.
He should get traded to a contender. I like that take. I'm going to borrow that for you. I might need that. I'll give it back to you on Thursday, but Wednesday is the day when we can. It's further from the games. It's not close enough to the next Sunday. You can squeeze in your hottest takes on Wednesdays.
I love that. I'm just thinking of like, how will Jerry look if he's watching like a 3-14 Cowboys team with a backup quarterback?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, if he could, he would feel smart though. Because I mean, actually, I remember when they made the Micah trade, we all were like, well, why don't you just go all the way in?
Have you heard the theory on that he did the Cowboys documentary for Netflix and he was talking about the Herschel Walker trade that made him think that like, got to do that again. I was in my bag.
But the difference is Herschel Walker was an aging superstar at that time, not right at the peak of his career.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was a terrible trade. Micah Parsons is incredible.
If he traded Dak right now, that also would be a terrible trade. But It would be fun for us to see Dak on a contender. All right, we'll get ready for the rest of the games. Dive into those with Bill Barnwell. These mistakes that I'm making with speech are excusable because I'm exhausted. The ones that we make on the program coming forward, inexcusable, but they're funny mistakes, which is nice.
We did our best.
Which was really good, I think. All right, last question. Who should they trade Dak to?
The
Browns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Browns would be awesome.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
All right, Bill Barnwell, let's talk about the rest of the football. Off top, 1963, Y.A. Tittle threw 36 touchdowns in an MVP season. Is Charlie's new favorite quarterback. But the question for Charlie and Bill Barnwell, what does the Y.A. stand for? We've been hearing about Y.A. Tittle our whole lives. Everybody knows Y.A. Tittle. Yeah. Y.A. Tittle's not new to you? I don't like this. We starting off on a bad foot. You two damn goofballs ganging up on me.
Dominique's been really afraid that he's been getting ganged up on.
I'm not afraid to get ganged up on. That's what I'm into.
Does not want to be part of a gang tackle whatsoever.
Anyway.
I'm going to say young Andre.
Young Andre Tittle would be that'd be a fire name. I know Charlie might know them.
I know the answer.
All right, play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show, presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. Charlie knows the answer. It is not young Andre Tittle, which would have been a much better name.
I don't know. His name's pretty awesome. Yelberton Abraham Tittle.
Fire.
Yelverton?
Shout out to Yelberton.
Oh, Yelb.
Yelberton. Also, Yelberton lived to 90 years old. I didn't know that they could do that back then. That's ridiculous.
You'd spin the pill.
90 years old for a football player? I always think of that picture of him on his knees. That's the one. It just seems
literally
so
the only picture anyone knows of Y.A. Tittle.
No, there's other ones. Like, does he have a cigarette smoking on the bench?
That's Len Dawson.
Oh,
that's Len Dawson, different dude.
Him up.
Yeah.
I mean,
there were only like 2 or 3 quarterbacks back then, so that makes sense. They played for like 5 or 6 teams at a time.
Len Dawson's drinking a soda and smoking a cigarette at halftime.
He looks so depressed. But speaking of quarterbacks who look sad on the sideline,
you want to talk about the Ravens? We should get into this. So
at one point, it was the 2 saddest quarterbacks I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
On the sideline at the same time. Like Mahomes looked mopey, and then all of a sudden he's smiling because he's cooking. And Lamar never got right, never got rid of the mopey dopies, and eventually hurt his hamstring.
Yeah, I mean, we should honestly, like, you could set this up and we could ask the generic sports talk question of like, whose result change how did this result change your opinion of the Chiefs and Ravens? But I actually want to just hear where you guys want to take this. What do you think was like most interesting? Like, what did you leave this game feeling? I'm guessing it's Lamar centric for you, Dominique.
No, not really. I mean, I think the biggest question mark for me was the Ravens defense. I think that there's, not even question mark. It seems like there's a period. The question was answered, and it wasn't answered in an affirmative way, right, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, this team, when they're healthy, they've been pretty bad on defense, and they ain't healthy anymore. Mm-hmm. They're down. By the end of this game, it was 6 or 7 defensive starters. Do you know how many? I have my own off-top question for you guys. Do you know how many games the Ravens' 22 starters on offense and defense missed last year?
10.
7.
Wow.
They missed a total of 7 games last year. They had one starter, Nate Wiggins, the only one who missed more than 1 game last year. This was the healthiest team in all of football in 2024. And they are, along with the Niners, maybe the most banged up team in football so far this year. And this is, I want to be clear, not saying they shouldn't have paid Lamar, not saying Lamar makes too much money. I don't think either of those things are true. But this is one of the consequences of paying your quarterback, as good as he is, a ton of money. The bottom of your roster is suddenly a lot weaker than it was 4 or 5 years ago when that guy was on a rookie deal. And the Ravens right now have a lot of guys in the lineup because of the injuries who are not really up to the standards of the Ravens roster.
Unrelated. I mean, it's an inside joke for just us. Charlie's already made 3 mistakes. We didn't start this shit over once. 3 fumble bumbles, but I made 1, and we got to kick this all over again. But whatever.
You have to be twice as good as me.
That's fair point.
Yeah, this isn't the Charlie Kravitz show, homie.
Man, mix up, transpose one set of numbers, and we got to kick this whole thing over.
I only remember one mistake I made.
You did. I'll point them out to you and when we rewatch.
It was the 6 defensive starters to 7.
That was the second one. But anyway, before that, you were
Domonique
over
running
your
this show into the ground the same way the Ravens ran their postseason hopes into the ground against the Chiefs.
Way to go. Way to bring us back. Well, the postseason hopes aren't run into the ground yet. I think there was a series early in the game or 2 series back to back where the Ravens decided to go for it on 4th down, and Spags pulled out a 0 blitz that was incredibly well disguised, and there was an open receiver out of the bunch set to the left. They were an empty and bunch set to the left, open receiver. Lamar couldn't find him, which is understandable because it looked like it was going to be zone. It was funny to me. It stood out to me because when I rewatched that play immediately after, I was like, damn, I get how this could confuse somebody. Spags had it in his pocket for a major 4th down, pulled it out. The Ravens then, the Chiefs then have the ball, and the Ravens immediately 0 blitz him right back. No disguise. It's so obvious. And they hit Kelsey on a fade, like down the middle of the field for a big chunk. It felt like, and this is a function of the subs being in there, and a function of, I think this team is not as well coached in those situations, and you could see those small differences became a big problem for the Ravens throughout the course of the game because they didn't have the support from the offense that I think could keep them in these games and just keep scoring, keep them in the games. It doesn't feel out of control, but the offense didn't come through either.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, what's your defensive philosophy, right? Like the Chiefs, at the end of the day, they know there's going to be a moment in every one of their big games they're going to play Clever Zero in a meaningful spot. We saw it against the Bills in a meaningful spot last year. We've seen it against every single big team they faced, every single big game they've played. At least once, they're getting to 0. They got to it more than once in this game. But for the Ravens, I know during the Don Martindale days, they were going to blitz a ton, but that's not a team where I think they want to be selective about when they blitz. But right now, they don't have Kyle Van Noy, who's their best edge pass rusher, and they don't have Nnamdi Madubuike, who's their best interior pass rusher, and so they don't got dudes who can rush on with 4 and win. So you're looking at a team that has to play cover 0 in spots, has to do stuff they don't want to do because the core of what they do is broken. And so I'm not surprised they weren't able to mask it because it doesn't feel natural to them the way that I think it does to the Chiefs philosophically.
Yeah, and that's fine. But also, they can't win in the one-on-one matchups because a couple of those blitzes, they played a lot of man early and blitz because they don't have the pass rushers. But the blitzes aren't always going to come scot-free. They had one-on-ones, created one-on-ones across the board, and nobody can cover for that long. And then you also add Worthy back into this, and we saw immediately the impact that Worthy had on this offense, which I think it's probably we, for whatever reason, are focused on the Ravens. I think the bigger story coming out is people are going to be more interested in, I think, are the Chiefs back questions?
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure I would go that far. The Ravens are pretty bad on D right now.
Well, a lot of that's fodder because, like, what you guys are doing is breaking down, like, exactly what the Ravens are doing. And, like, the Chiefs, inherently, when you're talking about the Ravens defense being so incredibly flawed, that plays into the Ravens defense being so incredibly flawed. There's a 4th mistake. It goes into the Chiefs' offensive success. But if you're going to get into the fodder lane of the Chiefs being back, to me, this week and the last week, the whole standings of the AFC of how legitimate you think the Chiefs are with the way that everything is broke, not just the Lamar injury, the Ravens defense, the Chargers losing to a Giants team like this. I still think the Colts had a pretty impressive loss to the Rams, if you can say that in the NFL. Yeah. But it's just that outside of the Bills, who actually sort of scuffled their way through a Saints game and have taken care of business, that top of that conference doesn't look the way that we thought it did even a week ago. So when it's the Chiefs are back stuff, there's a million. You're spinning a bunch of plates to get there, but it does make sense from a narrative standpoint of why people could be so excited about that.
I mean, the Chiefs are never we weren't talking about the Chiefs like they were done after 2 weeks. I think when you guys asked me, you wanted me to say it with my chest.
You're not in our green room.
you wanted me to say it with my chest, and I said very clearly, they're in trouble until they get their dudes back at wide receiver, and they got one of those dudes back this week, and the offense looked fine. I think the big thing for me that really scared me early on was that those blitzes from Spags were not working early in the season. They were not able to blitz Justin Herbert in that game, and he had easy outs for scrambles and for completions. They were not working well the first 2 games of the year, and they've worked much better against the Giants and against the Ravens, and that is something that I think is stickier than maybe the offensive improvement, because I think the offensive improvement is most of the fact that they played a JV defense this week.
And I mean, we haven't even touched on Lamar hamstring injury. Like, we don't know how long he's going to be out. And
we just don't know.
Yeah. I guess, we can't do hypotheticals either way. But I think the Ravens are in a tough spot. And I think this is why you have a coach like John Harbaugh. This is kind of the test of a coach like John Harbaugh. I've told you this before. When I played for him in Baltimore, he was not a scheme coach. Like, he was a special teams coordinator before he got the head coach job. Like, he's a head coach in, like, the truest definition, that he's going to, like, manage the whole team and try to be on top of the vibe of the team, the emotion of the team, the focus of the team, the collaboration between the game plan on the offense and the defense. Like, he's a big picture guy. And I think that in moments like this, when it feels like the season could kind of be teetering, because the Ravens are 1-3 right now. And I don't know the stats on how often you make the playoffs from that situation, but it's probably pretty bad. And it feels like they are in one of those moments where you're teetering one way or the other. And this is not, despite all the injuries, unless Lamar's out for an extended period of time, there's no excuse for the Ravens not to make the playoffs. And it's going to get real uncomfortable there. And I guess that's why you have a coach like this. This is where he proves his mettle. This is a Mike Tomlin type situation where it's like, we're never going to be bad as long as this guy's here.
They gave up more points in the first 4 games of this season than they've given up at any point in any 4-game stretch of the John Harbaugh era. And I don't want to say they should fire somebody. I don't think they should fire Zach Orr. I don't think they should make wholesale changes. But you saw last year, they brought in Dean Pease in midseason because they felt like we needed the voice in the room. I wouldn't be shocked if they said, okay, maybe we bring someone in to help, to aid, to be part of the process, because whatever we're doing, even if you think the injuries are part of it, whatever they're doing on defense is not working. And I don't
Dean
know
Pease is still there.
Well, right, but I'm saying they might need someone else besides Dean Pease to get in there.
Well, there's also like,
just keep adding dudes, more dudes.
Can Dean Pease rush the passer, or can they find someone who can rush the passer?
Well, it's also like, I think that there's like, the way that we look at the Ravens for the next few weeks, I think like it's going to take some retraining of ourselves to look at this, because like even after week 1 when they lost to the Bills, we were like, classic Ravens. They lost that game. The Bills didn't win it. Like, the Ravens are Ravensing. They always have one of these games. And the last 2 weeks against the Lions and the Chiefs, they just got the doors beaten or blown off.
Count it.
Fifth mistake. I think now I'm just hemorrhaging confidence.
I hate to get my doors beaten off. It's a really bad situation to be in. But no, I think that's a fair point. Is the Ravens? What else are we supposed to do when we have like a long like history with this team? Like, assume that they're always going to be good. So I think it's fair. But I think you're right. We have to stop making that assumption after the last couple of weeks. Is we have to evaluate this team based on what we're seeing this team do, not based on what we know this organization to be and what we know this team to always be. But I still think we give the benefit of the doubt to the Ravens. They're not going to play the 3-time defending AFC champs and possibly the best team in the NFC every week. In these kind of marquee games. So I suspect
no question. And I don't think.
But that's not how we're measuring them.
Yeah.
We care about how they measure up against these teams, because that's all that matters.
Before the season, we said the only thing that could really matter for the Ravens was what happens in the postseason. Right. And empirically, what's happened to the first 4 weeks, that's not true. We've taken in new information, and this is a team that I know Kevin Clark, when he was talking about, he talks about one of these things about how like you see a Super Bowl team as in reverse, and you look at the roster, he's like, of course that team won the Super Bowl. And the Ravens were that team going into the season. Like, if you look at the roster for next March, you're going to be like, oh, the Ravens won the Super Bowl. Of course they did. Look at the roster that they have. And I think a lot of people were thinking coming into the season, with how dominant the offense looked at the beginning of that Bills game, like, oh, maybe this is going to be another Ravens team that wins 13, 14 games and rolls through the regular season and only match. The expectations have to be changed for at least the next few weeks, Lamar's health pending.
Yeah.
Something else that people have not talked about with the Ravens, and I'm going to give you this. No one else has discussed it yet. It'll be a story by the end of the week. I know the Ravens were good running the ball against the Bills. They have not been a good rushing attack this year.
Thank you.
That's not it doesn't mean they haven't been explosive, because they have. Derrick Henry's had a couple of really big runs. They got a 71-yarder from Justice Hill in this game. They are 28th in the NFL in success rate running the football. So Obviously, the big plays matter. You don't want to just be getting 4 when you need 3.5 every time. Like, that's not, you want to have both. But right now, the Ravens are strictly just explosives. They are not consistent running the football, and that's hurting the offense. I mean, one of the reasons the Chiefs were able to get in all those zero blitzes in this game is because the Ravens were not running the ball effectively and getting in spots where the Chiefs had to respect the run and had to be in more of their base defenses.
It's very strange. That's something Domonique texted me during the game, saying Lamar looks like he has disdain for running the ball at this point.
Yeah, and it's the offense.
Yeah.
The whole offense looks like they don't want to really run the ball. And they have those explosive plays, but the big numbers have convinced us that it's the same Ravens offense as it's always been because they score a lot of points. But you're right. Like, we've had explosive plays, but we haven't had consistent offense. And even in their wins or their win, and I mean, I guess for all these games, except for this last one, the offense looks good. It's always kind of been like, I mean, not the offense looks good. They've scored points.
Yeah.
The offense has been like stagnant and then explode for a series or two and then goes back to nothingness, or Derrick Henry will go for a long run, or Lamar would do something amazing, and then the next series they're punting 3 and out.
Yeah. Should we talk about the Chiefs a little bit? Bill, was there anything that stood out to you from the Chiefs' performance today?
I think how happy they were. I really think the thing that stood out to me was what Domonique said about, just how the vibes felt so much better after this performance. It felt like they sort of convinced themselves. Like, last week they played against the Giants, they were okay. They hit a couple big plays, but it still felt like they were scuffling. And this was like the first game where it felt like, oh no, we're back. Like, we're back on track. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We have a logical argument for why we're going to be good on offense this season. And it was the first time this year I felt like we got the real Patrick Mahomes in terms of just hitting magic throws, doing stuff that no one else is going to be able to do, like just tormenting the opposing defense. And I don't know if that sticks. Again, this was a really weak version of the Ravens defense, but I just think knowing that's in the realm of possibility is like a major comforting thing for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. And even I think the fact that it is the Ravens, even though we recognize that the Ravens defense isn't as good as it should be, it's still going against a team that is believed to be a good team. I think that means more to this team and probably gives them whatever confidence they need going forward, more than a couple of big plays against the Giants. So, and I think they also did it. There's a story behind it. It's like, we got Xavier Worthy back, and that was the key. Like, right. I feel like that, and it not only is there a story behind it, there's like some real scheme behind having a guy who's faster than everybody else on earth out there, who also makes plays with the ball in his hand. It changes the way it's someone on their offense that can be a focal point, someone that does something special enough that you can scheme around it. They don't have anyone else on that offense that I'm like, oh yeah, let's make sure we get him in this situation.
He led them in rushing and receiving in his first game. Like, that should tell you what an impact Xavier Worthy had on that offense.
All right, let's pivot on to another game I thought was really interesting, which is Rams-Colts. We'll get to a bunch more games, but I'm just going to ask it. Was this a good loss for the Colts? Do you take them more seriously after the way that they played against the Rams? Not Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell had two.
He counts.
The
He's on the team.
A.D. Mitchell had, for those who don't know, he had a holding penalty that took back a long touchdown from Jonathan Taylor, and he had an incredible catch and run for a long touchdown, but just before he crossed the goal line, he wanted to stick the ball out, and he lost control of the ball and did the classic touchback out the back of the end zone.
But it wasn't a Deshaun Jackson.
No. It was Deshaun Jackson is where you drop the ball before you cross the line. He was intentionally trying to hold the ball out and slipped through his hands and kicked it out the back of the end zone, which was heartbreaking, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
Then they showed him on the sideline, and he looked broken, like he needed a cigarette, like YA. Oh, no, that wasn't YA, too.
Len Dawson.
I'll add that to your mistake tally.
How's that my mistake tally?
I didn't like the way you looked at me when I was about to say it. It made me nervous.
He gave you that one.
I'll only look at Bill.
I get what you're trying to do. I appreciate it as a Colts supporter, but no.
This is our team?
No. Like, I mean, it's a bad loss, man. Like, I guess the one thing, for me at least, I did not believe that they couldn't hang with the good teams. So I think that maybe for people who thought that they couldn't hang with good teams, like, you found that out. Like, I believe that they could hang with a good team. It was disappointing the way that they lost. So, like, this didn't do anything to give me any more confidence in them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it was depressing.
They should have won the game.
The way that they lost was just a very painful way to lose.
They got a little lucky in some spots too. Like they got a fumble recovery for a short field. There were some Matthew Stafford. They did drop at least one really bad Matthew Stafford pick. I think 2, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm getting some of my really bad dropped interceptions confused, but they dropped one where they run like a sim pressure and Zaire Franklin dropped off right where Matthew Stafford was going to go with the football. Like it was like the dream, you draw it up, this is where your linebacker is going to go pick, and he still dropped it, which was heartbreaking. But like the problem is that, and this is I think the issue why I wasn't so high on the Colts to head into the season, they don't have the dudes. Like the Rams had Puka Nacua in this game, and whenever they needed a conversion on 3rd and long or a big play, like I know they got the Atwell touchdown late, but like for the vast majority of this game, it was Puka's going to bail us out, and Puka did over and over and over again. And the Colts, Jonathan Taylor's been that dude so far this year, but he had outside of the play where he took away a 50-yard touchdown, had a relatively quiet game. I don't know that they have those dudes on both sides of the football. And the Rams had Jared Verse, who forced a fumble in this game. I think that's the tough part, is that the Colts, I think, are a really sound team, and I think they're a deep team in a lot of ways, which is great. But I think this was a moment where they didn't have that person who could transcend the game for them, and that was, I think, the difference for the Rams.
I felt that way in particular about Jared Verse. Like, I think I believe in their ability, Shane Steichen and that team's ability to manufacture big plays on offense more than I do believe in their ability to do the same thing on defense. And I noticed that Jared Verse was just in the backfield all game long. And it was like looking over at the Colts side, it's like they've drafted guys that they hope could be that, but they don't have a player over there on the defense as good as Zaire Franklin is as a tackle machine and a team leader. Like, he's not going to be the pass rusher or the interception creator, the guy who just makes this game, who overcomes whichever scheme deficiencies you have and just makes sure he gets a win in a big moment.
Yeah, I mean, the tough part is also with Daniel Jones, like, the thing that's concerned me has not been, can Daniel Jones throw from a clean pocket when he's playing from ahead, but can Daniel Jones throw when he's under pressure? And in this game, 12 of 18 for 64 yards with 2 picks under pressure. Matthew Stafford, 8 of 12 for 169 and a touchdown under pressure. I mean, that is, I think, the concern we've had with Daniel Jones is he going to take too many sacks? Is he going to turn the ball over when he's stressed? Is he going to get strip sacked? Like, those are things he struggled with his entire career, and unfortunately, he struggled with them today.
Rams should have. If the Rams would have pulled off that win last week, we have a different conversation about them.
Oh no, then like they've been awesome. You brought up Puka,
best receiver in football.
Is that possible now? Like, I don't think he gets talked about that way. And obviously, he plays in the slot.
Hard to say that, given the fact that Quinyon Mitchell was following.
Exactly. Well, that's why I say it's a really interesting conversation, because he's broken sort of the norms of what that guy could be.
This is the classic Domonique Foxworth wide receiver argument. Puka's not.
Nah.
He's not going to be that dude who runs a 4-2 by you. So Domonique isn't scared of him.
That's not my argument. Puka is that guy. My argument is, like, I don't love receivers who can't make explosive plays. Like, I don't get excited. I don't want to spend a top 10 pick on a guy who's like a big body possession dude. I want someone who could and then Puka, I mean, he can do it. You hand him the ball, he can do it. Like, I believe Puka is in that conversation. I think that he does benefit a lot from the surroundings. I think the scheme benefits he gets from McVay and playing in the slot, it's hard for me to feel the same way about Puka. But I mean, I guess everybody, they move. Chase gets moved in the slot, and Jefferson gets moved in the slot.
Seems like he does everything.
Yeah.
Puka does he blocks his off. He can run the ball.
Awesome
He's
blocker,
explosive player,
and their entire
that
offense
feels disrespectful. I hate it. I know he's a good blocker, but I hate when people, not just you guys, people start talking about how good a blocker he is. It feels disrespectful. Like,
I'm not saying he's Hines Ward.
I understand that. I know you don't mean it that way, but I'm saying that it was David Montgomery, who he was on a podcast with the St. Browns and was saying how they called him a power back and he was offended by it. I feel the same way if you were talking about, like, possession receiver is a slap in the face. That's not, or third down backs slap in the face. When you tell me that my number one receiver, hey, the third thing you say about him is he's an awesome blocker, I'm like, man, it just feels disrespectful.
I think that with him it's different because it's just like, it's kind of how he plays football. He's so competitive and physical that if it would almost be
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying.
I know.
It feels like a slight. You're right. He's a great blocker, and it really matters in their scheme.
What a weird hill to die on. Domonique Foxworth, we're complimenting Puka Nacua. He's like, you're saying too many nice things about this number one receiver.
No,
stop.
No, I'm just saying that the way that we measure receivers, when we talk about the best receivers of all time or the best receivers in the league, we do not talk about how well they block. So it feels unfair to me, which I agree. One of the best things that he does is block. It feels like you're shortchanging him if you're like, hey, he's good in the slot, and boy, can that man block. Let's talk about the same that he does that all the other receivers do. That's all I'm saying.
Can I have some Puka things that won't be disrespectful?
Thank you.
He currently leads the NFL in targets, catches, yards, and explosive receptions.
Wow.
12.
Love him.
He's on pace for his 17-game pace, obviously. Who knows? But 178 receptions, 2,138 yards.
How many blocks, though?
How many blocks is he on pace for, Charlie?
I don't know. What's his name?
We need like the Hassan Whiteside meme. Who's doing it with blocks? Who's getting triple doubles with blocks?
Again, yeah. Now I feel more vindicated when
I bring up
when the
Hassan
comparison
Whiteside.
is to one of the guys that the Heat paid and regretted it almost immediately.
I mean, remember when Hassan Whiteside had that koi pond of the OGs? There was fish. His koi. And there's a hurricane. He's like, see OGs.
I do remember that. It's a football show, though.
Okay, sorry.
I don't want to talk about fish or basketball.
Or Hassan Whiteside. It hasn't been relevant in a decade. Sorry, Hassan, if you're a listener.
Football show.
If you're a listener, we love you, Hassan.
Or viewer.
Let's talk Bucs Eagles. Domonique, I know instinctively we could do a question about like why are the Eagles so inconsistent even if they're winning 20 of 21 games, and you're gonna be like, I do that question all the time on Get Up. I don't want to do that. So if you're looking at Bucs Eagles, flip it. What do you want to talk about the Bucs?
Good win, good loss for the Bucs, right, guys? Good loss for the Bucs.
Okay, now now you're just mocking me.
No, I mean, honestly, like the Bucs found a way to get back in the game. I think the conversation is going to end up around the Eagles at some point.
Just keep on winning.
Yeah, just keep on winning. I mean, the
AJ Brown tweet. We got to talk about the AJ Brown tweet.
Yeah, let's cut to it. It was what is it? Bible verses?
Yeah. You want me to quote it?
Read it.
If you're not welcomed, not listened to, quietly withdraw. Don't make a scene. Shrug your shoulders and be on your way.
It's how I feel about this show quite a bit, actually. So I recognize what AJ Brown says, and I empathize with him.
So, can I ask a question? As AJ Brown has told us in the past, he is with the so I mean no disrespect, but isn't tweeting this the opposite of not making a scene and keep it quiet, right? Isn't it like, aren't you kind of, I mean, I don't mean no disrespect. I just asking the question.
This is like the equivalent of going out and saying, going on social media and saying, I don't care about people's feelings when all you're doing is expressing how you explicitly care about people's feelings. Yeah. I mean...
and to be clear, I'm also on AJ Brown's side. Like, throw that man...
I don't really understand it. I don't really understand why they don't.
You do understand.
No, I don't understand.
I thought you said you don't understand AJ's tweet. You don't understand.
I understand his tweet. So I'm not going to do the you're winning, just be happy. That's not what I mean. I actually just don't functionally understand why you have AJ Brown and don't throw him the ball quite a bit. Outside of this week, he has 42 yards off of 18 targets. Or sorry, outside of last week.
Yeah, I mean, he did get 5 more targets in this game than any other Eagles player. I'm not saying they were all catchable, but he did get 9 targets in this game when no one else got more than 4. It's not like the dude was not throwing the ball whatsoever in this game.
Let's not be disingenuous, Bill. Like, those in that game, I understand what targets you're talking about. They were doing simulated pressures and also real pressures rolled into a squat corner and throwing uncatchable balls in his direction. So, I think what AJ is saying, just throwing it at me is not a target. It's pretty clear to me that they do not have, when you look around the league at the best receivers in football that we just talked about, you see schemes that are developed in order to put them in advantageous situations. AJ Brown is clearly an emergency option, and he does not feel like he should be. It's like, if we're in trouble, we're just going to throw it up over there. He's going to run a stop, a hitch, or a go. Maybe we'll put a slant in there. I think that is the frustration point that he has. And I could understand that. And I, as as a fan, would also be frustrated if I saw this. And I know they keep winning. It's fine. But I also recognize.
Won like a million straight games that Jalen Hurts starts and finished.
But
that's not a mistake. That's the correct stat.
It's hard to have this conversation because in the back of our mind is always the fan who's saying, but we win. But I also recognize that same fan
play to win the games
has to see this and also be frustrated, right?
Yes, but like those wins keep winning. I mean, I don't know how. I want to give AJ Brown the benefit of the doubt. I think he is right in that they are a better team when he is thriving.
Especially because they're not running the ball great this year.
That's the thing. Like, if it was last year and AJ Brown was complaining and Saquon was eating and like every week it was a 60-yard touchdown, I'd be like, dude, you have to respect that there is another superstar who is dominating the league right now, and he needs to get the ball as much as possible. He should be the focal point of this offense. When Saquon's averaging 2.3 yards a carry, that's different. Then I see AJ Brown's point more. I think that's the better argument is, hey, I know we're winning, but we're not winning with our offense. We're winning because we have the greatest special teams in the history of the National Football League and a really good defense, and we get a couple short fields and we turn those into touchdowns. Yeah. That seems much more palatable to me than just like, give me the ball, because they won last year when he wasn't getting the ball a ton.
So I'll take a brief detour into some of the positive things.
That's a mistake.
Quinyon, outstanding. That dude is something special. That defense, I know Carter got hurt in the game, but the defense played well, I thought, through the course of that game. And, of course, you made the point about the blocked punt and the special teams playing well. And the offense in the first half, I think Jaden he threw one incompletion in the first half and no completions in the second half.
Jalen Hurts.
I said Jaden. That's another mistake. Mark it down. Jalen Hurts had one incompletion in the first half and no completions in the second half. So that stuff is
that's insane.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. He was, what was it? It was 14 for 15 in the first half, maybe, and 0 for 8 in the second half, which is unbelievable. Those positive things are there. And I thought that their defense was flexible and they changed their coverages and they were able to adapt to make big plays. Got that interception to the second to last drive, and also stopped the Bucs on that last drive when they were trying to score. Like, those things are impressive. And I understand when you feel that confident in your team, you don't want to take any risk that you don't have to take. So I was watching this game wondering if they are actually controlling or managing this game, and if they had to really let loose, would they? But then I saw the second half and was like, no, this is not conservative by design. This is occasional ineptitude. And the reason why it's particularly frustrating for me to watch is that it doesn't even look like they're trying from a scheme and coaching standpoint, right? It's like, we're going to do this. They know we're going to do it. We know we're going to do it. It works occasionally, but when it doesn't work, they still keep doing it. And it seemed like they came into this game with a good plan to address the blitzes and the man coverage blitzes. When the Bucs figured out that's what they were doing, they switched up in the second half, and then the Eagles are like, now what?
Well, they figure we have, I mentioned the Rams conversation, we have 3 dudes who are playmakers, or 4 dudes who are playmakers, and they'll figure it out. And that's been the positive and the negative of this team really during the entire Nick Sirianni era. I know Saquon wasn't there for most of it, but go back to that 2023 team between the 2 Super Bowls when their answers for the blitz were not, we're going to do side adjustments, we're not going to have any, we're not going to have any, we're not going to have a hot receiver for you. It's just, Jalen, you're great. You're going to escape a free rusher. Throw it up to AJ. Throw it up to Devontae. They're going to figure it out. You saw it even earlier in this year when they got blitzed a ton. It was Jalen throwing up 50-50 balls to Devontae Smith, one of which was dropped, one of which was caught. That is kind of their answer for stuff, and I think they see that outside of last year when Kellen Moore was there as their fallback plan. And that is, to your point earlier, other teams don't do that because they have to have answers. I think the Eagles are arrogant to some extent because they feel like we don't need to do that because we have the most expensive offense in NFL history and we are going to figure it out most weeks. But go back to second half of 23 when they did not figure it out, and it was a mess because they couldn't run the football and they did not have answers for the blitz.
They did have a tush-push wrinkle, though. So you talk bad about
they got
the
that
coaching
wrinkly,
if you want to.
That wrinkly tush.
Had a little Saquon sweep off the tush-push look. Wrinkle for you. That's called coaching or fear of Vita Vea. One or the other. But they got it done for a big touchdown right there. And Lane Johnson, as is recurring, seems to be shoulder issue, which
stinger.
I mean, that's awfully concerning for this team going forward. That, to your point, their scheme is we're just better than you, so we're not going to overcomplicate it, which is a scheme that I would love if it was working like it did last year. And in A.J. Brown's defense, last year he was like all in for getting Saquon those yards and blocking and making sure. Didn't he say something at the beginning of the year about how we got to make sure that Saquon gets his? So
he was also big the last week that Saquon should play and get the rushing record.
Right. So I mean, I think he's coming from this in the right. He's coming from it for the right reasons because he recognizes that things could be slightly better.
The Eagles play the Broncos next week. Yeesh. They need to get like a game against a really bad defense and just spam A.J. Brown like 100 yards in the first quarter. And then just like, okay, you're good for a month. You can't shoot stuff for a month now. You are good. You're set. We just threw like 6 balls in a row to you.
All right, guys, now get your hands up.
Throw them up.
It's time for our Good Hands plays presented by Allstate. We're going out to Lions-Browns. After week 1 of the NFL season, people were very worried that the Lions offense was going to be hindered by not having boy genius Ben Johnson running the show. Not so fast, my friends. The Lions offense has looked awesome, and they are dominant on the offensive line and have gone 3 games without allowing a sack. How impressed are you with the Lions and particularly their offense?
Yeah, I mean, their offense was really impressive last week. I think it was also really effective in this week's game too, but they didn't have the same pressure on them from the opposing offense, so it seemed like they could make mistakes and they had time to get it together, but it feels like the simplest way to put it for them in that particular game was they're going to get a lot of chances. Like, they got a lot of chances. And the running game.
Yeah.
What?
Right. No, I agree with you.
Yeah, the running game wasn't effective the whole time, but then it started to break, and Goff threw a pretty bad interception, and there were some missed shots. So, like, this particular game wasn't their greatest performance, but they kept
getting an elite defense.
Yeah, that defense is good, and Myles Garrett is still unblockable. Bill doesn't like it. Give it to me, Bill. What's wrong with the Browns defense?
It's good, but we just saw 2 weeks ago the Ravens dropped like 40 points on them. They're good, but I think people are stating a little too much based on what they did against the Packers. They were awesome against the Packers, but that was also with 2 backup linemen on the field for the Packers pretty much that entire game. Lions scored 27 points in this game on 12 drives. They had a drive start on the Cleveland 5-yard line, a drive start on the Cleveland 20-yard line, a drive start on the Cleveland 46-yard line. That was 17 of their 27 points. They've been great in week 2 and week 3. They were terrible in week 1. I think they were fine in this game. Yeah. I don't think they were spectacular. Yeah. I normally would not go against the premise of an all-state question. I respect and honor.
It can go to all of the Lions, which include the defense, which I was more impressed with the defense and the special teams. My man Khalif Raymond got a punt return touchdown and then kissed his wife and delivered the ball to her. And I assume that was his wife. I didn't have the volume on, but I hope so. That'd be real weird. But that was pretty cool. Might be soon
if it wasn't.
I think the defense was one of the concerns for me coming into the season.
Not Steph Diggs.
Well played. So the defense was one of the concerns coming into the season because they got a new defensive coordinator also, and their defense was riddled with injuries last year, and they lost their best corner in Carlton Davis. But DJ Reed was awesome in this game with a great interception. He's been really good so far this season. Their safeties are great. And Aiden Hutchinson, man, like, there were a couple snaps in there that he got off the ball so damn fast, and it felt like the Browns tackle was still in his stance and he was parallel with him. And so, like, I was so impressed. And of course, the Browns offense is not stocked with world beaters, and unfortunately for Joe Flacco, his kids remind him of that every day, which is so weird and sad to me. But did you see that during the the broadcast, and before they were talking about how his kids really love Jahmyr Gibbs and give his dad a hard time. I was like, man, your dad won a Super Bowl. Show some respect. He's the coolest dad of any dads in your
They showed
community.
his kids wearing Amon-Ra St. Brown jerseys too. Now it feels like they're actively trolling him. Like Joe Flacco has more money than he knows what to do with. Joe Flacco starts striking me as a dude who's like spending tons of money on a regular basis. And so his kids have pretty much an unlimited budget. They're just going to Fanatics and just buying Lions jerseys. They're going to buy like a Dan Skipper jersey to wear around the house this week.
It'd be sick.
That would not be sick. I'm going to tell you a story of what Charlie did to his father when he was young one of these days. Speaking of kids.
Literally.
Yes, literally. Oh, man. So, yep, the Lions are really good at football. They might win the Super Bowl. I don't know. We'll see.
Bill, how you feeling about Jaxson Dart?
Ooh, Giants fan Bill Barnwell. Jaxson Dart.
I'm starting with the positive.
Yeah,
Obviously, the neighbor stuff is a huge bummer and shades all of this.
I mean, they beat the Chargers. The Giants at home, Jaxson Dart's first start, knocked off the Chargers, who some of us started to consider to be a real contender, but they charged, and they lost Joe Alt, so they're down 2 top-tier tackles. But anyway, back to the fun stuff. Jaxson Dart, fun times, running the ball, headbutting his coach, celebrating, doing funny young people dances in the end zone. You feeling good?
Has the best TikTok edits, period.
He does have great TikTok edits. So are you feeling good as a Giants fan? Not as Bill Barnwell, the analyst. Bill Barnwell, the Giants fan. How you feel?
Yeah, it was fun. That's all I care about. Like, I don't. This team's not going to be good with Jaxson Dart at quarterback, but can they be fun? Are they going to try some? They tried a lot of in this game with Jaxson Dart. It felt like the thing I heard, I forget, it was on the broadcast. I think they said Brian Dable said he spent the entire week watching Josh Allen highlights to put together this game plan, and it felt like you had a dude who was not Josh Allen trying to do a Josh Allen offense, which is great. That is exactly what I want. I want to see a dude running quarterback lead a ton. I want to see him running people over. I want to see him boot and throwing stuff, and it might go into the ground. It might go into a receiver's hands. Like it felt like I genuinely did not know what was going to happen on every single play. And that is fun after Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson.
I was about to say, have you ever had a fun quarterback as a Giants fan? Because it was like Eli Manning, old Kurt Warner, then Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson.
Go back before that. I became a Giants fan right after the Super Bowl win. So I got creaky Phil Simms. I got Dave Brown, Danny Cannell. Like my entire basis of football is formed on like offense being not fun and boring and so like when we got Kerry Collins, that felt like, it was like getting an HDTV, being the first person in the neighborhood with an HDTV. Like, oh my God, you can do this? This stuff, you can throw the ball on offense? And that was Kerry Collins, let alone the quarterbacks that come afterwards. So it has been a very barren 40-year period of like fun quarterback play.
Didn't Jaxson Dart throw for like 110 yards? We're counting that as fun. It's like the bravado.
Yeah. Oh no, the personality's fun.
Yeah. Him and Cam Scatterbo with neighbors out. Like, is Staten Island a Mets? I mean, a Jet city or a Giant? I mean, a Jets borough or a Giants borough? I feel like of the boroughs, definitely be a Giants.
So Queens is heavy Jets. I'm from Queens. Queens is heavy Jets.
Okay.
Brooklyn, Manhattan Giants, I would say. Bronx Giants.
Jets too? Oh, yeah.
I feel like Long Island and Staten Island are more Jets because I think you get like a different sort of person in those places. I would say Jets fans. Definitely Long Island Jets. Staten Island more so Jets, in my opinion.
So I think we had fun with what we got from Jaxson Dart. That was fun, exciting. I think
50 yards rushing and a touchdown to go with it.
What was shocking to me was like, so one thing was how incredible the defense played, I thought, in that game.
Yeah.
They made a ton of plays. But which jumped out to me, and I think I texted about this, was I have no idea how to estimate or discuss an emotional boost that exists. But it felt like, I know this sounds dumb, and it's not a
normal emotional boost.
But, okay, let me finish before you jump into your sidebar. I know as someone who likes to talk about things that we can measure and things that we can actually see in real schematic things that have happened in a game, it's hard to discuss this because it's based on a vibe and a feeling. But this team, just because Jaxson Dart was at quarterback, seemed like on offense and defense, they entered the game with a different level of enthusiasm and energy, which I acknowledge that sometimes a new coach or a new quarterback gives you some little emotional boost. This was bigger than I expected. I guess I don't know how to discuss it. I just need to point out that I saw it.
Newsflash.
I acknowledged it.
Humans have emotions. I wish everything could fit into my spreadsheet where I could have a reason for it.
I'm the spreadsheet guy.
That's what you're more or less saying.
The only one out here that's hitting people.
I look for reasons and logic and numbers to support everything.
Why do I sound like that?
When did the show become? When did the show become the three of us just impersonating each other and making fun of things the other people did not say?
Gaslight Hour?
Yeah. So we should
Sunday Night Gaslighting is the name of the show.
Gaslighting with Chucky.
Classic
Anyway,
I started by just hemorrhaging my confidence.
I didn't hemorrhage your confidence.
Oh, you started counting my mistakes. Good teammate over here. Emotional lift from Domonique to start the show.
Domonique said he's the only one hitting people. He's hitting you, Charlie.
That's right.
He's hitting you
One
where it
thing I
counts.
know about Charlie is he likes to be made fun of.
It's a kink.
No, you're right, Domonique. Like, it felt different, and I think it felt hopeful, right? Like, I think there was just a, hey, like, if you're a Giants player, you knew there was going to be a point this year where Jaxson Dart was going to be your starting quarterback. You were just going to kind of endure till you got to that point, and what happened from that point forward was going to be what mattered for the rest of the season. So it does kind of feel like this was the first game where they were like, oh no, this is what we are preparing for, and this is actually going to be what our future looks like, at least through the rest of the year. Who knows what happens after that with Dable and everyone else, but I think it made sense that they felt different heading into this game and acted differently. If they had gone down 20-0, I think it would have been exactly the same. Like, I'm sure Tennessee got a boost playing Cam Ward, and that wore off real quick, but I do think the fact that he played okay and they won, I believe that.
It's a bit nasty that I'm going to say it, but I think a huge part of it is, like, think back to the preseason when Jameis was with DeVito and Jaxson Dart, and he was calling them the three amigos, and Russ wasn't there. I think a huge part of it is the difference between Jaxson Dart and Russ.
Yes.
But I mean, I think what you're saying is that it's not even the difference between Jaxson Dart and Russ. It's
Russ, yeah.
And that if they would have gone to Jameis, there would have been some sort of boost.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
maybe not to this level, but some sort of boost.
Yeah. I can't argue with it. It would appear that the way that people talk about Russ, who have played with him, is not.
People were doing segments last week where he's played his way out of the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Like there's a lot
Thursday
of
night game was rough. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine what it feels like for him in that locker room right now. Mm-hmm. Not that anyone cares long term, but it's a weird spot to be in where they cut the camera to him after they won and they like showed Russell Wilson. I was like, why are we doing this? This doesn't feel good. Like I know we're on the team supposed to be happy you won, but I have to be honest. Like if I was a quarterback and I saw that display, or the former quarterback, I saw that display, I would feel pretty.
You feel so self-conscious going back into the locker room for sure.
I'm sorry.
Do you think you saw the Three Amigos clip?
Of course. Three Amigos clip was he'll be fine. I don't know. It was I'm happy for you and Giants fans. It made me feel a little bad for Russ, but like I mean, I'm sure that this season will not end in a Super Bowl, so Russ won't feel that bad. There we go. That's my positive.
Russ might get traded. Russ might be somewhere else in a few weeks.
Cincinnati.
He might be the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers if Justin Herbert keeps getting hit 25 times a game because he was going through it in this game. And this was not the first week that's happened. 5-19 for 80 yards with a touchdown and a pick under pressure in this game. He got beat up. And if Joe Alt, who has a high ankle sprain, is out for any period of time, that offensive line is real bad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I assume with the high ankle sprain, he's going to miss some time, or at least be a lot less effective. So yeah, I think but I mean, he took, like you mentioned, he took a bunch of hits last week. I think it's also like a function of how he plays. But yeah, without his top tier tackles, it's certainly going to happen more often. So and
then leaning into throwing the ball so much. Like they have been such a pass heavy team that I think that's probably going to have to change if they can't protect him. And I think Jim Harbaugh is smart enough to not get his quarterback injured if he can avoid it. But I feel like Herbert's style of play does not lend itself to avoiding hits and does not lend itself to avoiding injuries.
Hampton looked good. Had a few big runs. That was fun.
Dude, his 12-yard run where he carried like 6 people was awesome. And that wasn't even like he had the explosives too, but the 12-yard, it legitimately looked like a Marshawn Lynch run. Bill, you brought up Cameron Ward. He had the quote after the game saying that they're playing like his words. I think he's shown a lot of promise. Obviously, that team has been terrible.
Yeah,
they're in a really weird situation where they're getting the doors beaten off of them. Domonique,
it's not a mistake when you do it twice.
Yeah, that one was like that was a touch. Yeah. How do you handle the rest of the season where you have this number 1 overall pick, but the situation is really bad? I don't know how long the coach is going to be there or what the coaching staff's going to be there, but like, if you're looking at this for both of you guys, how do you put him in the best position to succeed long-term for the rest of the season?
Here's the tough part. I would say there is not a good argument for typically firing your coach after week 4 because you're not going to get someone new. They're not going to dramatically change things. You're not getting a great coach. You might get fooled into thinking your interim coach is good because you got a random boost because it's a new coach and everyone's excited to play for him, even though it's a guy who's been on staff.
And you're also firing your offensive line coach, and you can't protect him because the offensive line coach is his dad.
The problem is that we're now a little over a year into the Brian Callahan era, and this year has been, frankly, a lot worse than it was last year. Like, he's saying stuff that's stupid. Like, he didn't know what the catch rules were on the Eric Garner catch in week 1 where he didn't challenge and he had an elbow in bounds and even said, like, an elbow doesn't equal 2 feet when that's literally what the saying is. His game management has been terrible. And the part that I find so difficult with Brian Callahan is the fact that he did hire Bill Callahan, his dad, to be the offensive line coach, was like, okay, well, I don't know if this dude's good, but I know Bill Callahan's a good offensive line coach, and they got a lot of high draft picks, so they're going to be fine up front. They can't protect Cam Ward. And a little bit of that is injuries, but a lot of it's just that the offensive line is just not very good. And so normally I would say don't make that change because you're still going to be stuck with what you have, but they've been so bad creating stuff for Cam Ward and making Cam Ward's life easier that I don't know how anyone else might be worse, even if it is someone on staff.
Yeah, you asked the question, Charlie, like what they should do with Cam Ward, which it sounds like you were implying like there's a possibility that maybe they should just protect him and not allow him to get beaten up this season.
I just don't know what the right thing to do with the whole team and this stuff is. With that's the one asset that you want to protect. Obviously, Jeffrey Simmons too, but he's not the number 1 overall pick quarterback.
I think Bill laid out the reasons why I think you'd be hesitant to make a move. Like you need I think you need a level of incompetence that, frankly, it feels like Brian Callahan is creeping close to. Because we talk about how the locker room feels. Like I think it's really tough to feel good and have whatever energy you need to do the extra work and show up on the off days. And even though you're getting your butt kicked to work hard in practice, it's hard to have that motivation when your coach gets a delay a game after back-to-back timeouts on a field goal attempt, or your coach says that an elbow doesn't count for 2 feet. I imagine that's difficult. So I think that would be the argument, is that a fresh start will be better because you're carrying all this baggage around. And the problem with baggage like that is it's a tinderbox. As soon as something goes wrong, you're like, oh, here go this again. and you're just lost emotionally. Mm-hmm. So we go from this conversation about emotional boost from Jaxson Dart to obviously it feels like there's some other version of that. And I don't know that firing him would make that better, but it does seem like you're going to fire him at some point. Mm-hmm. It seems hard to believe that they're going to turn this season around. And at the end of the year, you're going to be like, hey, let's go in for one more year with him. So I don't know what the right answer is. I think you're right to focus on the number 1 overall quarterback and how you can make it best for him to succeed. But I don't know what the right answer is.
It just feels so bleak. 4 weeks in, and there have been moments where Cam Ward looks really good, and obviously he's a rookie, and who knows if what it'll be or what it'll develop into. As you talk about, so much of it depends on the situation you're drafted into. But this feels about as bleak through 4 weeks as a recent number 1 overall pick since Trevor Lawrence. It feels closest to that Jacksonville season.
I mean, Caleb wasn't the most fun last year. But
he was kind of fun through they started 1-2 and everything flipped with the Hail Mary, which was sweet. We should do that again.
Here's the tough part. Like, you shouldn't go from this guy is running everything to this guy is fired. There should be like steps along the way to try to make changes. But he gave up play calling this week and they got shut out. His dad's doing the run game theoretically because he's the offensive line coach and he's been a great run game designer for decades. I don't think Brian Callahan's doing the run stuff. So his game management's terrible. So he gives that to someone else. That'd be better. But like, if you're not calling plays, you're not doing game management, you're not designing the run game, and the passing game is terrible, what are you there for? Like what are they going to get out of having you there that they can't get with somebody else?
He's the quarterback whisperer. He's out here developing QBs. I don't know. Yeah, it's a bad look, but I think we're coming close to the end of the show, and we can't leave without talking about Charlie's Commanders.
Ooh. What do you want me to say?
I mean, I just wanted to bring it up. I just wanted to put it on the table.
Like, did we get boat raced by the Falcons today and play terribly? Absolutely.
Let's do a little transitive property.
Sure did.
A little transitive property.
You went to transitive property that the Falcons lost by 30 to the Panthers. The Falcons completely outplayed the Commanders. The Panthers would beat the Commanders by 60.
We could end on that note. Thank you, Charlie Kravitz.
What? We're a Jaden Daniels program.
Thank you.
We'll be fine.
Thank you, Bill Barnwell.
We'll be fine. He's the best player in the conference.
All the great producers, throw your hands up. This was the Domonique Foxworth Show presented by Allstate. I love you, Podville. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.